Yahoo Sports Made It Monday is presented by Degree.
The field is set. For the first time, 68 teams will battle to be crowned national champions of women's college basketball in 2022. Hello and welcome to Made It Monday here on Yahoo Sports. I'm Christina Williams, and over the next 30 minutes, we'll break it all down for you on the women's side. Sleeper teams, players to watch, and our picks for who will cut down those nets in Minneapolis on April 3rd. But before we get started with the bracket, let's say hello to our team. We have three-time Olympian and Minnesota Lynx forward Natalie Achama joins us. Natalie, you've had plenty of experience in March at Notre Dame. What's the energy like as a player in the days leading up to the tournament?
Just going through Selection Sunday, you're going to have two major emotions. You're going to be definitely excited that the tournament here is, but also nervous not to know what to expect in these first two games in the first round here. And you know what? You got to show up. In March, you really see what teams and what players are made of. So let's see what we got going on here in the NCAA tournament first round.
Absolutely. And we're also joined here by Yahoo Sports women's basketball writer Cassandra Nedgley. Cass, what are you most looking forward to as the dance begins?
Upsets and uncertainty. We've seen so much parity in the game, so much upset in that AP rankings, lower seeds making conference tournaments. This could be a really, really fun March for everyone to pay attention to.
Okay, well, let's get right into this bracket. We'll start in the Greensboro region. South Carolina earns the top overall seed in the tournament, despite being upset by Kentucky in that SEC tournament final. Also, we have last year's runner-up in Arizona landing that 4 seed. Looking at the bottom half of the bracket, Big Ten champion Iowa earns the number 2 spot in this region. Rival Iowa State lands at just number 3 as well. Let's get into these first round matchups. I'm interested in this number 8 versus number 9 matchup of Miami and South Florida. Although the Hurricanes fell to NC State in that ACC tournament final, they won 8 of their last 10 games, including 3 against top 25 opponents in Louisville, Georgia Tech, and Notre Dame. Natalie, what will be the key for Miami to win this first round matchup?
I'm loving the little Florida rivalry matchup here in the first round, but what will be important for Miami is how many of their players can they get involved offensively. Kelsey Marshall has been great for them this season, but she can't do it all by herself. She needs her teammates to step up and put some points on the board for her. But Cass, what stands out for you for the South Florida team?
Well, for South Florida, it is all about defense. You saw that 11 defensive rating. They're one of the nation's best. They're allowing only about 54 points per game. And this is a team that really crushed it at the Battle for Atlantis back near Thanksgiving. They defeated Oregon, defeated Stanford, kept them to a season-low 54 points. And they kept it tight with UConn and Tennessee, kept keeping them to some of their lowest totals of the season. Of course, if they win this matchup, they do pull South Carolina in the next round, and that's a big ask.
That's going to be really tough for them if they make it to the next round with South Carolina. Now, Cass, there's always a chance someone can make a deep run. Who's your sleeper in this bracket?
I like Georgia. I like teams that go through really tough conference schedules, and that's incredibly true of the SEC. This is also a very solid defensive team. They upset NC State and Notre Dame. Sorry, Nat. And they kept it tight with Tennessee and LSU. Now they have Jenna Stady. She's a first-team All-SEC center. She came back to win some hardware, as did Q Morrison. This is a very hungry team, and that means a lot come March.
The Lady Bulldogs haven't advanced past the opening weekend since 2013, so we'll see what happened there. Nat, lots of talented players in this region. Who are you excited to watch?
You can't talk about the Greensboro region without talking about South Carolina forward Aaliyah Boston. She is a Player of the Year candidate for a reason. She's averaging a double-double with 16.8 points and 12 rebounds. And it's not only her ability to be dominant, but it's her ability to be constantly dominant. The last time Boston didn't have a double-double was back in November. So I expect her to come out with the same intensity, same energy, and really dominate this NCAA tournament.
I really don't think there's any discussion in terms of Boston being that National Player of the Year, but more on Boston from her coach, Dawn Staley, in a little bit. But let's make some picks now. Natalie, who do you have coming out of this Greensboro region?
That one's an easy one for me. I have South Carolina coming out. After that loss to Kentucky in the SEC tournament, I think they're going to have a little bit of a chip on their shoulder. They're going to come out angry, hungry, and ready to send the message.
Cass?
I agree. It's South Carolina for me. They have so much height, great guard play. They have so much experience against great teams. It's really hard to pick against them.
Listen, we all three would have to agree right now. South Carolina is the favorite to win this region. They're the #1 team with the best player in the country in Aaliyah Boston. They have what it takes to make it all the way and win the entire thing. So, okay, right into that next region now. Defending national champion Stanford earns the 2nd overall seed and will be on that one line in the Spokane region. Also, the top half of this bracket, you have Maryland, who hasn't lost a first round matchup in the tournament since 2001. Looking at that bottom half, Texas finds itself a 2 seed after knocking off Baylor in that Big 12 tournament final yesterday. LSU is also looking to make a run out west from that 3 seed. One first round matchup that I'll be keeping an eye on, and this is this 8 versus 9 matchup between Kansas and Georgia Tech. This will be the first ever meeting between these two programs. The Yellow Jackets, with wins over UConn and North Carolina this year, are the 5th best defensive team in the nation. KU is also looking to make some noise as the Jayhawks, led by Big 12 Coach of the Year Brian Schneider, makes their first NCAA tournament berth since 2013. Natalie, do you have any concerns about Georgia Tech's depth as they look to face Kansas?
Depth is always a tough conversation because you worry about foul trouble, you worry about somebody getting injured. But I think Georgia Tech is prepared for this moment, especially in the NCAA tournament. Most teams are cutting down their bench to your top 6 or 7 players, but Coach Fortner has done that all season. She's relied on her top 6 players all season, and so I think they're prepared and ready for this moment. But Cass, I'm wondering about those Jayhawks. They've really stumbled down the stretch here. How can they get back on track?
Well, they have stumbled, but overall, Kansas had a surprisingly good season, better than expected. Those stumbles in the final 5 games were against ranked opponents that are now 2, 3, and 4 seeds in the NCAA tournament. So the thing for them will be refocus, resettle yourselves. This team is one of the best in the nation at getting points at the free throw line. Pay attention to that note. And they just need to stay physical, play their game, and take that Big 12 experience from the last few weeks.
Well, look, whoever wins this one will likely have to face the defending champs. So we'll see what happens there. Natalie, what other teams are you looking forward to watching in this bracket?
I got to go with Florida Gulf Coast Eagles here. They are the definition of a sleeper team. And don't let that number 12 seed fool you. This team can put some points on the board. They're 9th in the nation in scoring, averaging 78.4 points per game, and they just dominated the Atlantic Sun Conference tournament. And just like they've done all season, I expect Kirsten Bell to lead them through the NCAA tournament. And if you saw any piece of that championship game against Jackson State, you could feel how electric, how energetic, and how exciting this team is. So I'm hoping they can channel that same energy against Virginia Tech.
Absolutely. Cassandra, who's your player to watch here in the Spokane region?
Well, we can't not talk about Rory Harmon for Texas after that game against Baylor on Sunday. She had 20 points on 80% shooting, 5 rebounds, 5 assists in that title game over a really tough Baylor team. She's really heated it up in the Big 12 tournament, and that's huge when the lights are brightest. She had a career-high 30 against 3-seed Iowa State. She's averaging 2.5 steals per game. Her steal rate is the best in the Big 12, so keep an eye on her.
Okay, moment of truth. Let's pick our region winners in Spokane. Natalie, who do you like?
I gotta go with the Big 12 champions in Texas. They played Stanford earlier in the season and they beat them by 5 points. So I have them winning in the Sweet 16 and being this regional champion.
For me, I'm taking the defending champion Stanford to win this region. They are the team that's returning with all of their players from 2021 championship run, with the exception of Kiana Williams. And they're also on a 20-game winning streak. The last time they lost was in December to South Carolina. This is a good defensive team with a great offensive balance. And if Haley Jones and Cameron Brink can get hot and stay consistent, they have a chance to win it all. Cass, who do you have?
Well, I do like Texas, but I'll lean towards Stanford. I think that'll be a really exciting regional final if both get all the way through.
All right, time to catch our breath here on Made It Monday. As we discussed, South Carolina is poised to make a deep run in this tournament behind junior forward Aaliyah Boston. Here's her coach, Dawn Staley, on Boston's career so far and her chances at National Player of the Year.
When you look at her, you know, she's gotten better, like a great player getting better in front of our very eyes. And it's just worth noting that she's not being voted on for her progression. She's being voted on as the National Player of the Year for her resume this season. And I just feel like she's done it from day one until, you know, currently. And I just really want her entire body of work to speak for itself.
Will filling out a women's bracket for March Madness solve all the inequity in sports? No. But it's where we'll start. Degree is launching the Bracket Gap Challenge because more brackets could mean more hype, more fans, and more recognition for these women.
I got a Mike parlay going tonight.
Huh? I bet on every team with a player named Mike.
That's dumb.
It's Mike night.
Bet however you want. Yahoo Sportsbook is your ticket to BetMGM.
I have all walks of life that come and sit in my chair, and I love connecting with them. Clients share their opinion with me, and it's like, oh wow, I didn't even think about it from that perspective. I read as many takes on the issues as possible. That's why I love the 360 articles from Yahoo News. Disagreement doesn't bother me. I like there to be some flavor.
That's what I think.
Welcome back to Made It Monday here on Yahoo Sports. In March, the best teams rise above at just the right time to showcase their talent for the world to see. Rising to the top of the mountain is all about peaking at the right time. So let's take a look at some March movers presented by Degree. Cassandra, let's start with you here. Who's your March mover?
Well, for me, it has to be Iowa rising into that 2-seed line. They had a tough start with COVID-19 protocols. They struggled against some of the top teams that they were playing early, but they're on a 7-game win streak now that includes the Big Ten Conference Tournament title and that regular season finish. A lot of people obviously talk about Caitlin Clark. She leads the nation in points and assists, but let's talk about Monica Cesano. Her 21.1 points per game ranks 13th in the nation, and she's shooting 68% overall. That also leads the nation. Incredibly efficient, and she provides that necessary offense when the defense frustrates Caitlin Clark. My favorite thing about Iowa, though, they're 84% from the free throw line. That's first in the nation, and it's 15% higher than many #1 seeds. A lot of these games are going to come down to the final seconds in March, and those free throws will matter.
Natalie?
My March mover has to be Texas. They are on an 11-game winning streak going into the NCAA tournament, where they swept the Big 12 Conference and had 2 major wins over a #2 seed Baylor and a #3 seed Iowa State. And I also think that their challenging regular season schedule has prepared them for this moment. They were tested early and often and still went 8-4 against top 25 teams. If they can carry the momentum from their conference tournament, they'll be peaking at the perfect time.
My March mover is Kentucky. They're on an 11-game winning streak, beating out #1 South Carolina for their first SEC title since 1982. The Wildcats went from being out of the tournament with 6 games left to earning that 6th seed in the NCAA tournament. I think that's an amazing turnaround. And just like those teams, Degree is all about having the confidence to move more. Don't forget to compete in the Bracket Gap Challenge. You have a chance to win $25,000 for yourself, and Degree will donate $75,000 to the school of your choice. Sign up at bracketgapchallenge.com. Back to the bracket now in the Bridgeport region. NC State, winners of the ACC regular season tournament titles, earn the top seed. The Wolfpack looking to get back to the Elite 8 for the first time since 1998. Also, the top half of this region, #4 Oklahoma, back in the tournament after missing the last 2. In the bottom half of the Bridgeport region, we have the Big East champs making their 33rd straight tournament appearance. It's UConn at #2 seed, Natalie's alma mater, Notre Dame, as the #5 seed. I just touched on the 6th-seeded Kentucky Wildcats a moment ago, but I'm excited to see this first-round matchup with Princeton. We get a rematch of the 2019 first-round game. The last time these two programs played, Kentucky topped the Tigers by just 5 points. Cassandra, what do you think has been the key to the Wildcats streak?
Well, it's definitely Ryan Howard stepping up in the big lights, but it's also the teammates around her stepping up and allowing her a little more room there. In this winning streak, it's been Dreana Edwards. She's been taking over in scoring and rebounding, but it's also senior guard Jasmine Messengill finding those two open and really keeping the offense running. She's been nearing double-digit assists per game since that streak started in mid-February. Now, Natalie, how can the Ivy League champs hang with them?
Although I do have Kentucky winning this game, the only way Princeton is going to make it a game is if they do it on defense and if they do it for 40 minutes. They have to limit Kentucky's run and keep the game in the low 60s if they have a chance of upsetting Kentucky.
Both great points. Now, let's look for a surprise team in this bracket. Cass, who you got?
I think everyone should keep an eye on Florida. They love to play nail biters. Their margin of victory is 3.9 points, which is awesome for fans watching in March. But they're a sleeper because of who they have defeated this year: Tennessee, Georgia, Kentucky, LSU. That instills some confidence in a team to know that you can walk into an arena and beat teams like that. This is a squad that's played hard for interim coach Kelly Rae Finley. Now she's the full-time coach, and they've come together after a tough season. Now, that said, if they get by Central Florida, they will have to deal with a healthy UConn, and that's a big ask.
The Gators are looking for their first tournament win since 2014. Nat, which player are you most looking forward to watching in this region?
Kentucky's Ryan Howard. She is a projected #1 overall draft pick in this year's WNBA draft for a reason. When somebody says they're a real hooper, this is what they truly mean. This season, Howard is averaging 20.6 points, 7.3 rebounds, and 3.4 assists. And although she surpassed the mark now, she was the third quickest in Wildcat history of both men's and women's to hit 2,000 points in only 100 games. And it's her ability to score on all three levels. And so not only should you watch her in this region, but look out for her this season in the WNBA this summer.
Absolutely. Ryan has definitely been balling out this season. Okay, back to our picks, Natalie. Who do you have coming out of Bridgeport?
Man, I got to go with my Irish. I have Notre Dame coming out as the winner in this region. For Coach Ivey to be able to pull them from not making the tournament last year to being a #5 seed, I can't wait to see how they compete.
Cass?
Well, I think everyone should have an upset in their bracket this year. There's been just so much movement going on and parity. So I'm going to go with Indiana. I like the Big Ten and what they've done up there.
For me, I'll have to say NC State now, Cass. I know last year this team was upset by Indiana in the Sweet 16, but I think that this is more motivation for them to want to come out on top this time around. They've won 3 consecutive ACC tournament titles, and Elisa Cunane has had a phenomenal season leading the Wolfpack in scoring and rebounding this season. I expect this team to keep carrying on that momentum. All right. Moving to our final region in Wichita, ACC regular season runner-up Louisville earns the 4th overall seed and will be the #1 seed. Also, 8-time national champion Tennessee, who has never missed a women's NCAA tournament, earns the 4th seed. More on their first-round matchup in just a bit. In the bottom half of the Wichita bracket, we find the Baylor Bears at #2. As we mentioned earlier, falling to Texas in that Big 12 tournament final yesterday. And Michigan, who made a run to the Sweet 16 as a 6th seed last year, and now they're at #3. Let's look at the first round matchup for Tennessee. They draw the 13th seeded Buffalo Bulls, who punched their ticket to the dance by winning the MAC tournament. Natalie, who do you expect the Lady Vols? What do you expect from the Lady Vols this tournament?
I know this might be bad to say, but I'm not sure I expect much. I think they've had some great moments this season for sure. Their net ranking is 18th overall. And yeah, they made it to the SEC championship, but I'm not sure they have what it takes this year around. I mean, the success of their program is one for the record books, but right now, in this moment, I really think Buffalo might steal this one from them.
I also really like Buffalo here, repping upstate New York. Felicia Leggett-Jack always has her Bulls in a good spot come tournament time. They're a mid-major favorite every single year. Daisha Fair leads this offense at 23.4 points per game, one of the best marks in the nation. She is the only player actually to average 20 points, 4 rebounds, 4 assists, and 2 steals, doing a little bit of everything. I think if Buffalo really pushes the pace, plays around fair, takes advantage of some of those injuries that the Lady Vols have going on, this is a really good upset pick to have Buffalo in your bracket.
And the winner of that matchup would face the winner of Oregon and Belmont in that second round. Natalie, is there another team in this bracket that could surprise early on?
Yeah, I think number 10, South Dakota. They are led by a trio of seniors that really pushed them this Summit League championship, and it really is what keeps them going. There's something different about them, their level of toughness, the way they grind it out, that they never quit. I think they're going to give Ole Miss some trouble in this first round, and it's going to be because of their defense. They're ranked 8th overall in scoring defense and keeping their opponents to just 53.1 points per game, and I'm pretty sure this will be your second game to watch because we already said Buffalo was the first one.
Cass, which players should we be keeping an eye on in the Wichita bracket?
Keep an eye on Emily Engsler with Louisville. She's a forward, transferred from Syracuse, and her game has really evolved over her collegiate career. She's a do-it-all player for this Cardinals squad, and her defense has them as one of the best in the nation. She's averaging nearly a double-double. She's the only player to average 10 points, 9 rebounds, 2 steals, 2 assists, and 1 block per game. That truly is a little bit of everything as well, and she has her hands all over this team as they try and make it to that regional final.
And it's good to see her thriving on this new team. Okay, let's make our predictions for this final region. Natalie, are you going with Louisville?
I have to go with Louisville. After an early loss in the ACC tournament, I think they're going to have an extra chip on their shoulder, just like South Carolina. So expect them to come out fighting in this first round here, and the whole regional, actually.
Wow. For me, I have Baylor coming out on top of this region. They have the home court advantage in the first 2 rounds and looking to bounce back after a loss to Texas in that Big 12 tournament title game. And Nalissa Smith, she's likely to be the #1 draft pick this year and a key to Baylor's success so far. She's currently averaging a double-double, one of the top rebounders and scorers in the nation. Smith is a player that knows how to rise to the occasion. She did it in 2019 when Baylor won that national championship, and I feel like she can do the same now. Cass, who do you like?
I'm also going to go with Louisville. I like their defense. I like all the pieces they have together. I think if it's a Louisville-Baylor final there, that their defense could really give Baylor and Alyssa Smith some trouble.
Okay, time for another break here on Made It Monday. When we return, we'll make our picks to win it all, and you can make your predictions in Degree's Bracket Gap Challenge. Here's 2-time national champion Candace Parker with more on the impact of the contest.
Just in terms of the Degree Bracket Gap Challenge, just visibility and making women's basketball important and putting it front and center. You know, I think that the amount of money it could really contribute to the women's basketball program, but I think the visibility and the conversation around it does just that much more. And you talk about how we make things better. We make things better by continuing to have that conversation, that to continue to have that news story, to continue to talk about it. And, you know, I think that women's basketball is getting there, but this will definitely help.
Will filling out a women's bracket for March Madness solve all the inequity in sports? No. But it's where we'll start. Degree is launching the Bracket Gap Challenge because more brackets could mean more hype, more fans, and more recognition for these women.
Hey, bro.
Love your fantasy team.
What? My team sucks.
Yeah, I know. I bet the under on all of your players. Points, rebounds, everything. I can't thank you enough.
Mom! Bet however you want. Yahoo Sportsbook is your ticket to BetMGM.
When I'm decorating a space, I start with how I feel. I then can picture what's missing. I'm always shopping to find the right piece. Flea markets, websites, even my Yahoo Mail. right piece just makes the space come alive. It brings it all together.
Just a few minutes left here on Made It Monday. It's time to pick our Final Four picks and title picks. Let's start with you, Cass.
Well, I have South Carolina and Louisville and Indiana and Stanford. I think we'll see South Carolina and Stanford in that title game. And there's a redemption arc here, right? South Carolina is obviously hungry for a title after that excruciating Final Four loss last year. And as a writer at heart, I think they get it. I like their height. I like all of the pieces that they have. I mean, they built this with a net worth goal, and I think they cut down the nets at the end of the tournament.
I have those two teams meeting up in that final matchup as well. My Final Four comes down to South Carolina versus Baylor and Stanford against NC State. I think Stanford is going to go back to that title game, as I said before, against South Carolina. But this year, I think Stanford comes up short. I have South Carolina winning it all. Natalie, round us out.
All right, guys, we have one thing in common in this, and it's South Carolina, of course. But my Final Four are South Carolina versus Louisville. And then also on the other side, I have Texas versus Notre Dame. Meeting in Minneapolis for the championship game will be South Carolina versus Notre Dame, with South Carolina taking the title, Dawn Staley getting her second national championship.
That's all the time we have on Made It Monday. Be sure to keep up with all the latest tournament coverage, both women's and men's, right here on Yahoo Sports over the next 3 weeks. For Natalie Anchamwa, Cassandra Negley, I'm Christina Williams. Thanks for watching and enjoy the tournament.